Well, today I decided to talk about money and poverty, having money, not having money, and the lack of money. And this video is primarily dedicated to that person who is at the point in their lives where they feel that there's more to them. They want a little bit more money or even a lot more money, and that there is more to their life. They're in a rag rut and life is just not going as they planned. And they feel that there is more to life that they want and they just can't seem to figure out how to get there. So if that's you, then by all means stay tuned and watch this video to the end, because today I'm just going to talk about some of the ways and which I used to be able to move myself from a place of lack to a place of abundance and having enough or more than enough. And I'm still striving to get there. But I just want to encourage somebody that wherever that you are, you can get out of that place. You can increase in your earnings. You can have a little bit more. Often, having money is frowned upon. And we live in a society now where anybody who talks about money or who wants to have more money can be frowned upon because people feel like that they are all about money. And we found it easy to say that I'm broke, I don't have, things are hard. And yet the Bible tells us that we need to say the opposite and speak life into our situations and speak, abundance and invite abundance and manifest that and pray about it. And as a Christian myself, I believe that everything that I have, I've prayed for, God has given it, and God has a bigger hand in what I have and what I do. But however, I also have to play a part in actually desiring good, desiring to have more, because in that desiring, I can then put my actions behind my desire. And this is the very thing that's lacking in our society today, where we glamorize talking negative, we glamorize our problems, and everybody is quite happy within those problems. I'm talking from a place of somebody who has struggled in their lives. I came to this country when I was 19 with just a bag and nothing else. Having enough money can make you comfortable, can give you more choices. It may enable you to do the things that you love. You can give back. You can be able to help others, as well as live with intention and purpose. Let's face it, we all need money to be able to survive on our daily basis. And the reason why we work so hard, we get out and sometimes even end up working in jobs that we don't like, is because we want to be able to put food on the table and to be able to have enough. But however, I've been doing a lot of thinking of lately, and this is probably how my brain works. I've been thinking like this probably even before this, I was stuck in a job and I really felt like there was more to me. There was more that I could do. And I just felt like I needed more. I wasn't able to achieve the things that I really like in life. I'll give you an example. I've been in this country for the last 30 years plus, and I've been away from my parents, and I only see them periodically, once or twice or every 2 years, thereabouts, because of money. The reasons why I don't get to see them every 6 months, or the reason why I don't get to spend a lot of time with them, is because of money. Money limits me from being able to do that. And this is one of the reasons why I had to think deeply and decided to change my life, so that this time that is left with my parents, and I'm blessed that my parents are actually still alive, I want to be able to spend more time with them and have the freedom to do so in my own terms. So that got me to think that actually for me, success or abundance is to be able to enable me to do that. And money was the one thing that was going to allow me that, to be able to spend that much time with my family as often as I would have wanted. So it got me thinking that I wanted to share this with some other people who might be stuck in that situation and not actually knowing what to do. Some have actually given up on hope to be able to spend time with their loved ones because their finances are just not allowing them to be able to do so. And I realized that if one doesn't change their mindset, one doesn't change their thinking, even the way they look at money, even the way that they define what it is that they want, how they see themselves, I tell you, we can be stuck in a situation, we can be trapped in a situation and be so unhappy, and our life will be passing us by, the clock will be ticking, whilst we haven't been able to give ourselves that which we really deserve, which only money can give us. Of course, me being a Christian, I pray about every aspect of my life. I believe that where I am right now is a direct result of what I've prayed for in the past and what I continue to pray for. And before we can even make decisions, every night we pray to God, we talk to God, and we say, God, how long, how far? I'm tired of this job. I'm tired of getting up every morning, spending hours on the road, going to and from work. And it's from that place where we start to think about what we want, what we could be doing, where we could be, that we then start to aspire and think, you know what? If only I could be somewhere in a hot, sunny country. If only I could afford that holiday. And that's what drives us, is thinking outside the box. I feel that some people out there who might be feeling the way that I am feeling or I was feeling are limited by their thought. They are only a thought away from changing their lives, because I made that decision. I changed my thinking and I decided to put my actions behind my thinking. I had had enough of not having enough money. I had had enough of living from paycheck to paycheck. Don't get me wrong. I don't despise the days of small beginnings. I don't despise where I started, because I also believe that in life there are seasons, and we have to embrace the seasons of where we are right now, or even the times of trouble, the times of trials, or the times of lack, because I truly believe it's those times that actually get us to realize what we don't like, so that we are able to measure where it is that we want to be. Because as for me, I'll give you an example. I started my journey as a care assistant, and then I went on to, as a cleaner, in fact, then I went on as a care assistant, then I went on to work as a nurse, then I went into management. And it's when I got to the top of my game and when I got to, to high up within my career, that's when I actually realized that there was always something lacking. But with every experience, I learned something. I realized that actually I've outlived this. So without the humble beginnings, without those days when we are doing the hard jobs, the tough jobs, we may never know what it is that we want. Sometimes we have to be tried, we have to be challenged to be able to know that actually I don't want, this is not for me. But also there's something about those humble beginnings that it actually molds your character. It changes who you are. And those experiences pave the path for the future, for greater things. And I believe that that builds the foundation for where we want to go and how we'll treat the future. Because without hardships, we cannot respect where we want to go. But it's only when you've hit rock bottom, when you've reached hard times, that you will now realize that, no, I don't want to be down. And then that's the process, or that's the time that you start to transform your mind and start to picture that place where you want to be, because otherwise you might not have anywhere to compare it with. And that's when the thinking needs to kick in. Because I believe that as a society, sometimes I come across people who find it so easy out of their mouths to talk about, oh, I am so broke, oh, I'm tired, I've had enough, life has not really gone quite well for me, I'm really struggling. We find it easy to talk about that. But when I come here and start talking about, you know what, I need more money, I need more of it, I want a better life, I want to be a multi-millionaire, or I want to be able to have the things that I love, people can frown upon that. And I don't know how we got to normalize being poor, and how we got to normalize complaining rather than speaking abundance, positivity. Because, the Bible even tells us that to imagine that life that we want, to be able to speak from a place of prophesying rather than speaking from a place of our problems, which I think that's where that is where our problems are as people, as a society. So we need to change our thinking, shift the way we think about money. Imagine that beautiful life. Imagine that beautiful big home, if that's what you aspire, that lovely car, that freedom to be able to travel whenever you like, and to be able to do those things. And once you picture, and once you feel that you deserve good, and once you feel that you deserve the best, I tell you, you can then put your actions behind that. You can then start to work towards that, because you can't work towards something that you don't even know what it looks like, and some people don't even think that they deserve better. They will go around saying, you know what, I'm just happy with a little of this. I'm just happy with enough to put food on the table. I'm just happy. We've normalized being broke so much such that we don't even know, how to actually manifest that which God has promised us. I found that for me in my journey, what helped me to be able to move to the place that I am in now, or to be able to have the courage to quit my job and start my own business and do what I'm doing now, was that in my mind, I knew that there was more. I knew I deserved better. And also in my mind, I actually had a vision board, and I knew the life that I wanted, that I had aspired. It's taken me a lot longer to get there because, we all walk different races. Our journeys in life are so different. But I knew there was more to me. I always knew I wanted nicer things. I always knew I wanted finer things in life. And each time I was working in a job, I realized, okay, I've done it. This job doesn't serve me well anymore. And then I moved on to another job. But with every job that I did, I remember from my very first job that I did, I always applied myself with humility. I always worked so well and to the best of my ability. And I always believed I was the best in whatever it is that I did. I applied myself. And I really believed that's what opened the bigger doors and the better doors in every step that I was going into. And what I'm encouraging the person who wants to change their life today is that change your thinking. Have a clear idea of where you want to go, what life you want, and how you want that to look like. You need to write and design that life on paper and on a vision board. Every step of the way, the detail of it. And once you've started to see that life that you have on paper, start to imagine yourself already living that life. Start to picture yourself in that situation and start to feel like it and walk like it and talk like it, and then start to build your confidence in your thought process and start to say no to certain things that don't serve you anymore. Start to refuse to think like a poor person. I know this is a word that I am not comfortable to say, but as people, sometimes what we do, we find it so easy to talk about how frustrated we are with our problems. We talk about how broke we are. I don't have this, I don't have that. And instead of speaking positive, we are very fluent in doubt. You know what I mean? And actually, success for some people feels like a foreign language. We tend to talk about what's not working, what's not happening. And you know what? We need to set ourselves free and run with our lives from that sort of thought process, because the more we continue to speak negative, that's what will manifest. That's what God will give us, because we don't believe we deserve better, but actually we do. And the word of God actually tells us to be able to speak from a place of faith, from a place of actually prophesying, and rather than talking too much about our problems, which is the problem that we all have, most of us, but I've stopped doing that. I stopped doing that, in fact, a long time ago. And I started to see myself better, and I started to really work towards my goals because I wanted change. But if you can't picture the life that you want, how are you going to change? And I actually feel that some people tend to say that they are okay, they're comfortable, because they're afraid of the hard work that comes with change. Because change comes with transformation. You've got to put in the work. You've got to start to really act towards those goals that are going to get you to the place of abundance, to the place of that life that you've put on your vision board. You've got to be able to put in the work. But for me, I really wanted it so much that I had to work every day and night under the sun. I kept praying to God for direction, for strength to be able to do it. But whilst other people were sleeping, I was working hard to be able to free myself from that job. And look at me now, a few years down the line, from just having that thought, I actually managed to leave that job, and now I'm actually running my own business, and I'm working towards other places where I'm hoping to be able to go to or to achieve. You know that your life will never be better than the conversations that you have with yourself when you're alone. And some of you have raised failure for so far, far too long that you are starting to manifest those words that you talk to with your friends, with your colleagues. Oh, I'm broke. Oh, times are hard. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can't this. And some of you even know that words have power. You know, it's what we say that actually will end up happening in our lives. And we are so fluent in doubt, you know, and that we start believing our own doubt, and that we start to frown upon those people that are actually talking positive, like myself, that are encouraging, because people think, oh, have you seen her these days? Oh, she's all about money, she's all about this. But I'm all about freedom, because money will be able to enable me to have choices, to be able to do the things that I love, to be able to travel and see my elderly parents, and be able to work, you know, wherever I want. So that's what I'm striving for. And at the minute, I'm halfway there. I've been able to set up my business, so I work on my own terms, I work in my own time. I'm able to do that. So I'm striving for better, but it all started with a thought process. It's all started when I started to feel that I deserved better. I wanted better, and I wanted a better life, a good life. You know, I would rather, you know, talk about being rich than talk about poverty. I would rather think big than think small. You know, when we were all born, we were born with a blank book, right? And some of the choices that we made are from our backgrounds, or we grew up seeing things that were not so great. We grew up seeing people complaining about money, but we are the ones that can change that narrative. We can change that story for our children or for the future generations. But we are thought away from thinking that way, or from achieving that life, you know. And that's why in my previous video, I talked about connections, the people we talk to. What are we saying? Who are we talking to? What are we spending our time on the phone, you know, telephone, talking to our friends about? We need to be able to draw the line about that. And if you're serious about transforming and changing your life, you can do it. Anybody can do it. You know, I can inspire you. Somebody else can inspire you. And right now, wherever you are, you just need to put the hours, put in the work, be disciplined, be consistent, be that business that you want to set up, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to come on YouTube, whether you want to start an online company that you can start selling products whilst you're working, or whatever it is. You know, we live in a world now that has so many opportunities. In fact, I'll be doing a video. I've been working on putting something together about business ideas that one can do whilst you're in your other job, whilst you're building wealth, whilst you're changing your life. But it all starts with a thought, because you've got to put in the hours outside work, because you'll have less time to talk on the phone. You'll have less time for all this small talk when you start building. And I've learned that the hard way. I spend a lot of time researching and working on what I'm going to put out there and working on my business. But that's for the future, you know. And I'm hoping in the next 4 or 5 years, I'll be able to have the freedom that I imagined when I was in my previous job. So I really do encourage you to go for it. And if anyone feels that they need a little bit of one-to-one support and encouragement, by all means, get in touch with me through my email. I really do hope I've encouraged that one person or those two people who were really on the fence, who were feeling like they needed to change. Just change your thinking, my dear. Just start to see yourself as that person that, you know, with that life that we talked about. See yourself having that special walk about you, that special talk about you. Honestly, you can do it, because if I did it, you can do it. And I'm really here to encourage and cheer on others and fixing other people's crowns as well, so that we can all be able to achieve that life that we wanted to achieve. So I really hope I've been able to encourage somebody. Let me know in the comment section if this video has been very helpful, and if it's really touched you, please let me know in the comment section. And by all means, feel free to share with your loved ones, with your friends, if this has resonated with you. It's Shirley here. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.